Hello everyone, the 316 here with another Marvel Legends Retrocard Spider-Man review. This time I got the Spider-Man Unlimited for the most recently released 2025 wave. Figure retails for $24.99, and as always I like to show them off in the package now before I open them up. He blends in pretty well considering all the blues and purples in this backdrop here. The red just makes him stand out a little bit. And then here's the back of the card art. He has the Spider-Man TV show style of packaging, whereas I think Spider-Boy, Electro, and I want to say Kane, I feel like these three don't have that. It might be Agent Venom, not sure, can't remember. But let's go ahead and open them up. Out of the packaging, and as you can see I put him on a flight stand. I just wanted to show off his posing real quick before I actually went into the accessories. The stand, of course, is not included. This is just a Hasbro Pulse stand, but you know, if you want to get one, that's where you get it from. But accessories-wise, he comes with 2 pairs of fists, pretty typical for Spider-Man. He's got the thwips, one of which is on the figure, and then he comes with a grip, the other of which is also on the figure. So, you know, 6 different hand accessories, but let me take him off with his stand so we can get a better look at the figure. He just fell out of my hand. That's alright. But, yeah, he looks pretty good. I like the color of red they chose. It's not quite fully red. It just has like a touch of blue to it. That may just be due to the plastic that it's painted on, but I do like the color and how it hits the light. Now, some people might be upset that this figure is not cel shaded. Personally, for me, I don't have a problem with that. You know, the thing is with paint, you know, add the important details, but if there's like cel shading that's not present, you can add that yourself. Look, I'm not saying that, you know, I have to add it, but, you know, I have the option to leave it as is or add it in the event that I do want the cel shading. And there we go, that's a bit better of light. And just so you can see what the red and the blue actually look like, not against the purple, because, you know, sometimes my backgrounds kind of trick the colors of the figure. But yeah, looks pretty good. He's got this like softer, I mean, it's got some rigidity to it, but this softer cape piece on the back, and it's pretty well detailed. I do quite like that. It's got some rips in it. I'm not sure why he needs a cape, but it's cool nonetheless. So I want to start off with the hands here. So these hands have an overlay on the forearm. In the show, like the top half of the spider head here is actually, you know, just printed on the hand pieces. I'm guessing they didn't want to print that for 6 different hands, so they just decided to do an overlay piece, which, you know, it could kind of get in the way, but it has just enough range here that it's not going to really be a problem. I will say though that you can see that this leg here, it really should be more out this way. That's just from the packaging that it's warped to that way. Also, it is a bit difficult getting the hands off of this figure. With that overlay, you kind of have to like pull the whole thing off. I'm just trying to do this so you can see what I mean. You gotta pull the whole thing off and then place it back on. Again, a bit difficult. I'll go ahead and give him one of the fisted hands, so I can show you. It's a bit difficult getting it on there with the overlay, but it is possible. So I don't recommend heating that up. It's such a small piece of plastic. If you're going to heat it up to put that back into place, use a hairdryer. I will say on camera this may not be coming across as well, but there's the red paint here on this leg is more to the, you know, inner portion of the front of the thigh, whereas this one's more pushed back. It's most noticeable here on the part of the boot. You know, you can see how much closer it is compared to the other knee. Again, I know it might not be showing on camera, but there's a lot of extra red paint on this side than there is on this side. And again, it annoys me, but it may not be showing up that well on camera. I do like the amount of paint that is on this figure, though. You know, he's got it on these new boot pieces. He's got it all on his torso here, including the neck. and the butterfly joint, this new shoulder piece, and he's even got a line down the rest of the arm. And it's also painted on the back, which is pretty cool. A good amount of paint on this figure. They didn't have to do it, but you know, for 25 bucks, I appreciate it. This is pretty much, I would say like 70% new sculpt. The only stuff that isn't new here, I believe, is the foot, the entirety of the leg up until the boot piece, the entirety of the arm minus the shoulder, and that's basically all that's reused here. Everything else here is a new piece, even his tiny little butt. Yeah, they gave him a tiny butt. Like, he's still caked up, but it's like so tiny. It's so flat. Like, he's still got a butt, but it's just like, it's big. I really like the head sculpt. They did a good job on that. Again, doesn't have the cell shading, but that's not too big a problem for me. I think it looks good as is. I don't mind it too much. Again, I could add it myself, which I might end up doing, but for now I'm going to keep it as is. But yeah, that's just a good look at the figure. Let's go ahead and go into articulation. Start on off with the head here. He's got a little bit of tilt, but he does have the preferred method for me, the hinge disc. So he can look up that far and he can look down that far. Pretty good. And of course he's got the swivel. The butterfly joint, I'm going to lift the arm up as much as I can. He can't get a full T-pose, but he's almost there. I think that's just due to the butterfly joint. But forward butterfly is pretty good. Backward butterfly is great. I'm surprised. And then like middle's right there. So he's got plenty of range of movement in there. These are the Renew Your Vow arms, so I'm not going to get too into detail. Now with the hands, I will go ahead and show those. Because the overlay's there, you get the swivel. The hinge, though, it's kind of hard to activate that hinge depending on what hand you use. It seems to be easiest on the fist, just because it's a big Casablanca. Big block of plastic. The waist joint here uses the swivel crunch, which I do wish it was a swivel ball joint. I know people like double ball joints. I prefer the crunch like this. So, you know, he can get some pretty decent movement out of that crunch. But I wish that was a ball joint here. Instead, he's got a swivel, which goes all the way around. The legs here, just because this is a new crotch piece, I will show that off. He does not have drop-down hinges, which I'm fine with. Splits-wise, he can get just a bit over an A shape with those. And obviously, we've seen this before, and the double joints on that. The boot here, you know, it does a full swivel. And, you know, with the foot, you get a pretty good pivot on both sides. And the hinge can go back pretty far and pretty far forward. I do wish he had some toe joint articulation, but oh well. I did watch the pilot episode of this show. I think there's only like 17, 18 episodes. It's kind of interesting. So, if you don't know, there's basically he gets framed for something he didn't do. And there's another Earth, and he goes over to that Earth to clear his name, basically. Again, it's an interesting premise. It didn't last long, though. Like I said, only like 17, 18 episodes, something like that. I'll probably watch the rest at some point, but for right now, I just wanted to get the gist of the show. But Spider-Man Unlimited here, he stands at just over 6¼ inches tall. So, pretty typical for Marvel Legends stuff. I'm trying to get my ruler back into its place. There we go. Now let's go ahead and do the size comparisons. I'm interested to see a couple of these. We'll start off with the usual suspects, and then I'll transition into the other Spider-Man figures. But starting off with Scarlet Spider here, they actually do use some different parts, and because of that, you can see that Spider-Man Unlimited's a bit shorter, which, again, I don't mind. I think that the Renew Your Vows body is a little too tall, personally speaking. We got, oop, his head always falls off, I swear. I do all these size comparisons, and his head just, whoop. The Power Rangers Lightning Collection Dino Thunder Black Ranger, G.I. Joe Classified Tiger Force Outback, Everyone's falling over today, I guess. Come on, Unlimited. You're literally called Unlimited. Stop being limited. The Star Wars Black Series Retrocard Boba Fett. Moving into our Sonic from, I always forget, Jack Specific Sonic 3. Moving into wrestling figures, we got the AEW Unrivaled Samoa Joe and the Mattel WWE Elite 100 John Cena. Any of you guys watch Elimination Chamber on Saturday? Pretty crazy, huh? We get the Halo Yoroi armor from the Jazzwares Spartan Collection, the Gold Label Arkham City Batman, and Atrocitus from DC Multiverse. So there's all your usual suspects there. He actually fits in pretty well. I don't think I'm going to be keeping him for size comparisons for the future, but if you guys want me to swap out Scarlet Spider for Unlimited, let me know in the comments. Now let's check out Unlimited next to some other comic book based Spider-Man, or people that use Spider-Man for their collection, or comic book collection rather. Starting off, we have the Amazing Friends body. They're very similar in height, but Unlimited has much more width to him. He's a very bulky Spider-Man. He's got a lot of build to him. I still prefer the proportions on the Amazing Fantasy or Friends body, but do like that. Next up, we have still my personal favorite Spider-Man, the Retrocard 2020. If I can get him to stand up properly. His leg has been sagging just a little bit. There we go. I like how those two look together. If I was doing like an animation where he goes from original Spider-Man costume to Unlimited, I would probably use that Spider-Man. And lastly, I know it's an MCU figure, but I have the Tom Holland Spider-Man because I know a lot of people use that body for comic Spider-Man. And yeah, he looks pretty good too. He's a bit shorter than everybody, but that's because they, for MCU figures, tend to stick to the proper 1/12 scale, whereas with the comic figures, they kind of, fudge it a bit. But yeah, some good-looking Spider-Man here, and I hope to get more Spider-Man variants like this from, the cartoon, from comics, stuff like that. I like collecting Spider-Man figures, and Unlimited was definitely one that I wanted to buy. And if you want to get this Unlimited figure, he's pretty available. I wouldn't say he's unlimitedly available. You can't buy like 600 of them, but I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying it's unlikely. But, again, I think some people don't really like that there's no cell shading on this figure. I understand why they didn't do it. There's a lot of new parts here, and a lot of paint on the figure as well. At some point, I may add the cell shading to his face and maybe the torso section, but as for right now, I do quite like how he looks, especially next to the other Spider-Man figures in my collection. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is Spider-Man Unlimited. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe, and hit the bell. It all helps out the channel. And as always, peace.